Reality TV exists because of O.J. Simpson's well-televised drive and the subsequent happenings. Period.
I hope no one else is doing a bit, but I'm doing a bit.
Daddy's got a pod.
I'm Casey Kasem, and this one's for the perverts.
Join us in our strange ritual.
That is time-traveling love smut.
I can only say horny in one season opener.
A medium amount of fun and an extra large amount of sweaty.
From the minds that brought you Giraffe and Amerisaur.
No regrets, no masters.
I got dick jokes to make, man. Leave me alone.
This is good. This is good for anyone.
This one's going to be weird. I'm very interested to see where this goes. Hello, and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how the real big bad is luxury taxes. That will come back later.
Sure.
I have theories.
I don't.
This sounds like, do you guys remember that?
Man.
Yeah. Do you guys remember that SNL sketch that's like, are they Republican or not? It's like,
Yes.
Yeah,
like
yes.
on the razor's edge of like, what? But why don't you like luxury taxes?
Matt Cole hates the library, doesn't like luxury taxes.
Yes,
not
famously
true.
So.
The case is building against you.
No, not true. I do like the library. I will not state my stance on luxury taxes, but I do like the library. The library is good. Libraries are good things. Okay, anyway, it's a special day here at DT!HQ. For the first time in I don't even know how long, we have cleared out our commission list on flavor texts.
So buy more flavor texts, nerds.
That has given me the opportunity to select my own subject for today's episode, and boy howdy am I excited. But my excitement aside, we are officially back open for flavor text commission. So like Kyle said,
I jumped
buy
the gun.
more.
I'm really sorry, Matt.
Buy more flavor text, nerds. Have you ever wanted to pick the subject of an entire podcast episode? Well, now you can. Head over to patreon.com/debatethiscast to commission a flavor text on whatever you want. The world is your oyster, and if you want, I don't know, say a deep dive into the Silent Hill series, or a season-by-season breakdown of King of the Hill, head yourself over one more time to patreon.com/debatethiscast.
What if I want a deep dive into King of the Hill and a season-by-season breakdown of Silent Hill?
Yeah, same question.
I don't know if Silent Hill has seasons, but we could certainly do a deep dive into King of the Hill for you if you go to, again, that is patreon.com/debatethiscast.
That's all I wanted, was to set up that that link drop one more time.
Yeah, that's, it, set up and spike down.
Yeah.
Now, today's flavor text has been a long time coming, or at least a few months coming. When I pitched an amazing race-themed episode for episode 145, Set Versailles for the Lorf.
You pronounce those words. I was going to say, you got to get those word pronunciations exact.
I was shocked to discover how little my co-hosts had interacted with that TV show. In fact, I discovered that day that my co-hosts didn't have the same pop culture keystones that I did in the CBS reality TV shows, The Amazing Race, Survivor, and Big Brother. As these shows have made up a massive part of the lens through which I view the world, I'm taking this opportunity to allow my buddies a peek through that lens. And let me be very clear, this is not a flavor text about the history of reality TV. That would take literal years and is way too expansive for me to cover in a single flavor text. No, this is a flavor text about those three aforementioned shows, The Amazing Race, Survivor, and Big Brother, and why I believe they are the Library of Alexandria of our time.
That
Ooh.
feels like a hyperbole.
So, prepared to compete with me for approximately $1 million pre-tax are Kyle, Kid Nation Harper,
I did not
Andrew, Pirate Master Henderson,
I approve.
and Todd, Greatest American Dog Thomas.
Obviously, I approve.
Andrew and Todd got like superhero names, and mine sounds like what the newspaper added when I got put on a list. I don't like this.
It's my favorite Nickelodeon variety hour.
Do you guys know what these are by any chance?
I'm assuming they're failed reality show pilots.
I know Kid Nation. There's a documentary over that, and it's. I think now I might be wrong, but if I remember, they basically took a bunch of like pre-teens and put them in like a set with shelter, and was like, "Lord of the Flies it up out here, you little idiots," and it went about as expected.
It was like an abandoned town, but yeah. Kyle,
Yikes.
you have the most interesting of the names. Obviously, Kid Nation on paper doesn't look good, but like Todd said, do a Googling. It's
I kind of
crazy.
remember
It.
that
There's definitely
when
a YouTube video about it.
Yeah, I kind of remember when it like was in pre-ads and then like immediately shut down after like 15 minutes of the first episode aired or something.
Oh, it made it a whole season. That
Oh.
season is available on YouTube, just in case you were curious. All right. Well, enough about Kid Nation and the others. All of these are, like you said, failed CBS reality TV shows. But I want to hear our typical around the horn to start one of these flavor texts. Guys, what do you know, or what is your experience with these three reality shows?
What these three are to you, Matt, is my 90 Day Fiance, my 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days, and my 90 Day Fiance Trouble in Paradise. And that is to say, I know a lot about those and very little about this, where you probably know a lot about these and very little bit about my Holy Trinity. I did watch a lot of Survivor. I watched a lot of Survivor, and so familiar enough with it, but much like a lot of people, I kind of fell off when it got a bit too gimmicky. I'm a Survivor purist, and now there's like people. No, like I'm gonna make some jokes, but I'll be serious for a second.
CBS is not a Survivor purist.
Right.
No. Well, the issue that I have is that if you watch Survivor now, people go on the show and they talk about like the strategies of the 40 seasons before them and how so-and-so ran this play and they can't wait to do this play. And it's all about building your resume to win at the tribal.
Yeah,
like, the final council.
Survivor's not about surviving. It's about winning Survivor. Winning the
Yes.
show Survivor. Yeah.
Where I really liked the earlier seasons where it was still just like, this person's a CPA. What the fuck are they going to do on this island?
Yeah.
Their best. And like, I think that was when it was its best. And now there's just a lot of gimmicks to it. I do not know much about The Amazing Race other than the watermelon face episode. And I don't think I've seen a single episode of Big Brother, but I do believe it is my shit.
Big Brother's so your shit, dude. Anyway, Kyle, go ahead.
I watched 2 seasons of Survivor when season 1 and 2 were like the show of the week, the flavor of the month, if you will. Big Brother, I know I was not allowed to watch because that had potential blurred out nudity and did not fly by my parents' screening process. And The Amazing Race, I know about as much as I learned to do that episode we did not that long ago.
I love what you just said there because that's a completely reasonable thing for a parent to think. There's so much more blurred nudity in seasons 1 and 2 of Survivor than there are in seasons 1 and 2 of Big Brother. That
Sure.
it's ironically hilarious, but
they put those 2 scenes in every ad for it on TV. I'll tell you that.
Andrew, what about you?
Virtually zero. I watched like all of America. I watched seasons 1 and 2 of Survivor in 2000.
Yep.
When the prize was
And-
a Pontiac Aztec.
Yeah, sure was. And then 9/11 happened, and then I watched season 4 of Survivor, which I think was All Stars, which that was the last, both a lot of fun and the last season that I ever watched of Survivor. My only touch point to Amazing Race is the episode that we did, and aforementioned Watermelon. And then my only touch point to Big Brother is that it came on before Without a Trace, which was a pretty mid CSI clone procedural in the early 2000s that I watched when I was 14. And
it was my house.
That's it. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of those experiences are, the reasonable touchstones that everybody has.
Healthy.
Right? Like, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Survivor season 1, season 2, biggest shows of the era. The finale of season 1 had something like 45 million viewers. Premiere of season 2 was something like 54 million viewers. Really just insane numbers. The Amazing Race, of course, started a little bit later, and I think was there for people who were already in the system from Survivor and Big Brother, and were like, sure, I could dedicate a 5th night of my week to CBS. That sounds great. And then, of course, Big Brother, it's there for the freaks, man. The freaks are the ones that Big Brother is for. Let me tell you what.
Didn't that have like a weird spot? Like a weird airing spot? We're going to talk about it? Okay.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. Yeah. Cool. All right. So I want to start a little bit before these shows really come into the zeitgeist, because to understand the impact of The Amazing Race, Survivor, and Big Brother, you really need background information on reality TV as a whole. And like I said, not a flavor text about the history of reality TV, but I'm going to give you some really major touchstones along the way that lead us to the fateful year 2000. And the structure of this flavor text, we're going to do this little pre-bit of information, and then we're going to talk about how those 3 shows came to be. Then after a short break, I'm going to go through season by season, not all the seasons, that's a lot of seasons.
It's a lot of seasons.
Season by seasons, and hit the highlights of all 3 shows, give you some fun facts about them, and then we will end with my explanation of why I think that this is the Library of Alexandria of our time. So, to start, we need to go all the way back to 1948. And I'll put an asterisk on that and say you could probably go to 1947 and that would be okay. But in 1948, a show called Candid Camera premiered, and that was a TV version of 1947's Candid Microphone, which was a radio program. This is basically Impractical Jokers crossed with What Would You Do or Punked. It is
that is how you have, like, because I understand you probably do have to explain it. If this was 20 years ago, I know I've never seen an episode of Candid Camera. I know exactly what Candid Camera is through like cultural osmosis.
Right, smile, you're on Candid Camera.
It was it was the like it was the
public prankster
show.
stuff.
Yeah.
What was the Bob Saget show?
America's Funniest Home Videos.
Home Videos.
Thank you. That's the one.
Yeah, so Candid Camera really is the beginning of what I think you could call reality television, in the sense that it is to some level unscripted and is a focus on quote unquote real life people, not paid actors, that is not in a news or informational format. Here's a little fun fact about Candid Camera. That ran from 1948 to 2014.
Holy shit.
The last version of which was hosted by The Big Bang Theory's Mayim Bialik.
They should have kept it for 4 more years just to hit the round number again.
I do think that there were major swatches in there where it didn't air. I don't know that was continuous, but in some version from 48 to 2014.
A lot more novel and surprising in 48, I'm sure, too, when a camera was like the size of, I don't know, a briefcase and not something we all had on us at every hour of every day in every pocket in across the world.
And candid camera pranks back then would have been like
We
the dollar attached to a fishing line.
Yeah,
And
he asked for diet, and we gave him regular. Let's watch what happens.
Yeah, so that's the 1948 version of reality TV. Now I want to move farther forward to a program called An American Family, which premiered in 1973. West. What was that?
Fievel Goes West.
The better of the two.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about An American Family a little bit in the Amazing Race episode that we did. This is, by all intents and purposes, proto-Real World. It followed the Loud family, that was their last name, Loud, through 7 months of their upper middle class Santa Barbara life in 1971. And the, hook for this originally was, we're going to follow a family and see what happens. And then they put it together and it turns out like the husband and wife are just hurtling towards divorce. The son comes out as gay, which is a big deal in 1973, then 1971. He becomes kind of an icon across America. It's a huge deal. But it is the first reality show that doesn't have that scripted format that Candid Camera had, where there's at least some inciting action by a producer, an actor, a cameraman. American Family was truly a docu-series experiencing the life of a family.
So we have this show to thank for Keeping Up for the Kardashians, The Osbournes,
Seems like
Hogan Knows Best. This was the original sin.
Brief pause. We have O.J. Simpson to thank for all those, but I'll get there.
That's true.
Oh,
That's not incorrect.
Yeah, incredible point. Yes, you're absolutely right.
All right, so going from 1973, I want to jump forward 15 years to 1988, which is a year culminated by a Writers Guild of America strike.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's 1988 and the Writers Guild of America is on strike. It is 2007 and the Writers Guild of America is on strike. It is 2019, 2021, whatever that was. 23 and the Writers Guild of America is on strike.
So some people will tell you that this writer's strike is what caused reality TV to pop. I disagree. This definitely opened some doors and set up some things, but this is not the impetus of reality TV, as some will say that it is. But important to note that CBS did create one of their first reality unscripted programs called High Risk, which is just dirty jobs, but with dangerous instead of dirty. It aired, I think, late 88 through 90.
I'm interested to learn how this plays out 20 years later in 2009.
Yeah, so let's put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it, because we got some wild shit to get through in the next 20 years. Okay, so writer's strike goes on in 88. In 1989, we see the advent of computer-based non-linear editing. For those who do not have a background in video or audio production, this means that you can put all your footage into a computer and select which pieces and parts you're going to use, as opposed to quite literally using a razor and tape to cut and splice film together. Now, that will have a lot of effects on the capabilities of editing, what sort of things you can create and do. But for reality TV, what it really does is give producers the ability to filter through months of content without watching months of content.
Yeah.
So between the writer's strike in 88 and the introduction of computer-based nonlinear editing in 1989, in mid-1989, we get a show called Cops.
Ooh.
Everybody know Cops?
Man, if you, as a child in the 90s, didn't watch Cops at some point, the equation was always the same. If you stayed home from school for whatever reason at some point in the 90s, you Cops
saw
and Price is
Cops.
Right.
Or it watched G4 at some point in 2004.
It was always officer rolls up to the door. They interview a person who has their face blurred out. Someone runs out the back door.
Yep.
That was like the 3-act play.
Yep.
Yeah. So, hey, just for the record, ACAB. Also, important to note, Cops was ordered during that 88 writer's strike, again, out of a need to fill content. NBC had the Olympics during the 88 writer's strike. Nobody else had shit. So that's where a lot of this is coming from.
Cops was wretched to the not cops on that show. Just horrible treatment of horrible disintegration of the accused rights, the rights of the accused.
If we ever like kind of lose our country's collective boner for law enforcement, I'm curious to see the results of the study of the direct impact Cops made on law enforcement and the police industrial and the prison industrial complex. I'm sure there's some pretty bonkers data,
pretty grim information in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, Cops is going to come back, so keep all that in your back pocket. All right, so we're moving on from Cops in 1989 to the year 1991 and the premiere of a reality show, and I'm probably mispronouncing this because it's Dutch, called Nummer 28. Number 28 premieres on Dutch television, and it created a lot of the tropes that we are used to in produced reality television, namely the use of like a specific soundtrack, not only for intro, outro, but for moments in the show, as well as the taped solo confessional or the taped interview with contestants that we have gotten very used to over the years. So that was 1991. MTV's Real World premiered in 1992. Now, the dudes who started Real World swear that they did not copy Number 28. The guys from Number 28 say, I don't know, that sounds hard to believe. But the guys from the Real World are all like, no, we copied an American Family. It's different. Take what you want.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no way to know without looking at Number 28 and Real World. But like, also the concept of putting a bunch of volatile strangers like in their 20s in a house together with cameras isn't novel.
Well, I mean, clearly it was. But also, like, that doesn't feel unique enough to be copyrightable. Like,
right.
Like, I'm gonna guess what had changed was not the concept, but the channel, the medium.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, what is this? This is 92. Like, cable was just like cable had just 24-hour TV had just kind of become a thing. So like now all of a sudden you got time to fill. You've got an audience. You've got a permanent audience.
And cable in 92 was very much trying to be what Netflix did in 2011. Try to make the most outrageous eye-catching stuff you can get at the expense at whatever cost. And
bunch of pixelated naked people.
Lot of
got
pixels. Yep.
So let me ask, were any of you guys like early Real World watchers? I'm too young and I kind of missed it.
I was 2 when Real World
4
premiered.
Todd's fervently shaking his head.
Yeah, I
his
did.
head.
So I mean, I would have been 5 when it came out, so probably not like that into the
Sure.
92 version. But I definitely remember the earliest years of Real World, and I see it on your list. You're going to talk about Road Rules. Firmly in my childhood.
Yeah,
Real World
Road Rules is great.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those, like Theo Vaughn, who's got a big social media following now for just being the weirdest dude. Like a less problematic Joe Rogan kind of situation. He got his start in these shows. Like, these are people that are still around on the periphery.
Okay.
As did a guy who had a long career in the WWE, Mike the Miz Mizanin, was a Real World guy.
These were the original, like, had these shows come about, let's say 30 years later, or I guess 20 years later, these would have been your micro influencers. These would have been the people that now go on Bachelor and Bachelorette, not to find love, but to get a name for themselves, to get brand deals with Quip.
Influencing career, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know what? I say this respectfully, even though it may sound disrespectful. These are the people keeping Cameo alive.
100%.
Yes.
That
Affirmative.
is their business model.
I think that can just be a passive fact.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, you've got Real World in 92. For those unfamiliar, Real World is number 28 from Dutch television.
It's about when strangers living together, what is it? They stop being fake and they start being real is like the tagline.
Sounds believable to me. Like I said, I was not a Real World guy.
Didn't pull the Real World intro monologue for the reality TV show episode, man?
No, because it's not about reality TV.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we go. I got
stop
it.
being polite and start getting real.
Yep, they stop being polite.
Do you want to
and
do it
start
clean?
being
Do you want to
real.
do it clean?
No, you know what? I want people to know that I don't have the intro to Real World from 1992 memorized.
Yeah, we call
Because
that
I
a
was
character
5.
reference. Yeah. So you've got the Real World in 92, and then you've got Road Rules that starts in 95, which is what if Real World on a bus? And then in 1998, we get the start of a show called The Challenge, originally called Real World / Road Rules The Challenge. This was, what if we take contestants from Real World and Road Rules and make them play games?
It's just the natural
Fun.
evolution, I guess. But like this has been replicated more and more, especially lately with some of those micro influencer names that just get churned through these shows. That they find the ones that rise to the top as the most explosive. And they're like, what if we just keep bringing this person back over and over and over and over again?
I really thought that the Flavor of Love era on VH1 spawned the standout contestant gets their own spin-off show formula. I was wrong.
Man, 30 minutes in, we got Flavor of Love.
I mean-
time to Flavor of Love 30 minutes.
May I present your first witness, Kelly Clarkson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that was the
Way
point of
more
that
wholesome
show.
than what Kyle was presenting.
But my point
yeah.
being, like, reality TV has always been a springboard to
Sure.
celebrity.
Yes.
Sure.
What a perfect transition to talk about my next point. First, let me say, hey, if you're a big fan of The Challenge, that's great. I'm happy for you. This isn't your episode. Sorry.
All 5 of you.
Deal with it.
It's a good show. This is the one that was like always on in my college dorm. This is why this episode is not for me, because I like The Challenge.
One of my good friends is like a big The Challenge fan, and every year he's like, oh, are you watching the new season of The Challenge? And I say
course
no,
I'm not.
as I have for 20 years. Anyway, let's transition to my next point. In the year of our Lord 1994, O.J. Simpson took a well-televised drive.
What a
That's the one way to put it.
bearing the lead on that one a little bit, but sure.
A drive so infamous that Ford stopped making the Bronco for 30 years.
Fuck, that was something.
So I've linked in our notes, and I'll make sure it's in the show notes as well, a link to an infographic that Vanity Fair did showing the ripple effects of the O.J. Simpson case.
Oh no!
But for those who,
I think that I pulled this up. I don't think this graphic goes far enough because I think everything about our current media landscape started the minute O.J. Simpson got in that Ford Bronco.
Well, it's been 10 years since this article, and I bet there's another layer to the spider web.
This has the same energy of that X-Men family tree graphic.
Like Todd said, this is a 10-year-old graphic. I did find another really interesting article about like 16 people who owe their careers to the O.J. Simpson case, but it was behind a paywall, so I'm not going to reference it. Long story short, O.J. Simpson's case, which I will not break down the details of on this here podcast.
Gotta pay us another $60 to get that one.
Oh, God.
The O.J. Simpson flavor text, that would go so hard.
No.
Anyway, the coverage of that event and the subsequent trial created the micro influencer, the current media landscape, created the ability to be famous for being famous, or be famous. What it really boils down to is for being really rich. Almost everyone you know on reality TV in the 2000s is related to a lawyer from the O.J. Simpson's case. You know, there's a whole big old ripple effect here, but what is important to know is that, 1994, the coverage of the O.J. Simpson event and case really set up the landscape for modern reality TV stars.
What Matt is dancing around here is Robert Kardashian was O.J. Simpson's lawyer, and the trial was on TV for 4 hours a day for 9 months, like half a year, something like that. Warped, like I keep saying, warped TV forever.
But there's
Next
like
big
so
change
many
would
other.
be the internet. Like,
We really do need to do a flavor text about this. I'm gone. I'm lost in this infographic. It's breaking my brain.
So that's what I'm saying. If you ever bump into somebody or you're having the conversation and someone says, well, reality TV only exists because the 1998 or the 1988 writer's strike, tell them they're wrong. Reality TV exists because of O.J. Simpson's well-televised drive and the subsequent happenings. Period.
Can I give you one more ripple effect from this stupid trial?
Please.
Laptop logos are now upside down when the laptop is closed when you look at it because of this trial.
that's insane.
One of the laptops used, that they used to just not be that way, but it was the first time like televised view of a laptop, and I think it was like an IBM logo or whatever was upside down. Because that's how it looks if you're looking at a laptop that way.
Yeah.
And since then, laptop logos have all been reversed to be right side up if you're looking at someone on.
Yeah.
Dang. That's wild. Okay. So there is your rundown from 1947 through, 1999-ish of reality TV. A couple of quick things I want to highlight real quick. This is my meanwhile section. A couple of other shows premiered across the world. You've got Eco Challenge: The Expedition Race. Premiered on MTV in 1995. This is a 1-hour special documenting a 12-day adventure race in Utah. Also, you have a show called Expedition Robinson, which is now just called Robinson. It was concepted in 1994, and it makes its Swedish debut in 1997. Expedition Robinson is proto-Survivor.
Yeah, Swiss Family Robinson reference in the title.
Yeah, you get it. Last but not least, we've got Big Brother, which premieres in the Netherlands in 1999.
Actually,
So
Matt,
we've
George-
stolen Dutch reality TV twice.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Kyle?
Wild.
1 second here. George Orwell wrote 1984 and debuted Big Brother there in 1949, actually.
Hey, hold that thought. We're coming back to that. Keep a pin in that one. Okay, so there's your lead up. That gets you from 47 to 99. Let's take a quick second just to talk about the state of TV and really the entertainment industry pre-Y2K. So, truth be told, this was a weird time for entertainment in general. And I'm not going to over-explain the 90s, but the way people were spending their money was changing, and the makeup of the audience shifted dramatically as Gen X started to sell out.
This is like firmly in the TGIF era.
Yeah, it sure is. We're firmly TGIF. TV in particular was in a very see what sticks phase. A colleague from a former job that I worked for NBC during this time, and he told me, quote, cocaine made every decision. And you know what?
I mean, we make that joke a lot about comic books, but yeah. Like, well, we talked about the abandoned your tweens at the abandoned camp. Like, there's no way that someone didn't do a line of coke and said, put them kids in an abandoned warehouse, see what happens, get some cameras.
Yep.
You got it. Yeah, and you know what makes cocaine make decisions? It's money. Can't have cocaine for decisions if you don't have money for cocaine.
It's kind of, cocaine and money is kind of an Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like it just kind of circles itself forever.
One snake with really wide eyes.
Yeah.
So money for cocaine is what networks were hunting for. Sure, advertising dollars were through the roof, but the expansion of cable and the dawn of the internet were starting to pull eyes away from primetime programming. The networks needed something with a minuscule top line and a massive bottom line because a lot of scripted shows were running their course by the 98-99 season, and there was a big question as to what would come next. I took the liberty of putting down some shows and what season they were on at this time. So 98-99, we're in the first season of King of Queens.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're in the second season of That 70s Show and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We are in the third season of Spin City and Third Rock from the Sun. Here's the big line. We're on the fourth season of The Cosby Show, The Drew Carey Show, and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Man, Drew Carey Show had like a lock on my life for a long time.
Yeah.
Also, this is very much a Cleopatra is more recent in human history than ancient Egypt, because like I would not have guessed that those three shows aired at the same time.
Yes, and I said the Cosby Show. It's just Cosby, which is different than the Cosby Show. So that's
okay. That was what was fucking with me. I don't know what Cosby is. Was that just like a Cosby Show reboot?
Probably. I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's not what this flavor text is
The less
about.
I know about him, the better. So
Doesn't matter. We don't need to spend time on it.
98-99, we are in the fifth season of Friends. We are in the sixth season of The Nanny and the seventh season of Home Improvement. Ding.
I think you mean,
It was good.
Is that what you meant?
It's not what I meant, but it was good.
Right.
That was pretty good.
Fair. Thanks.
Cosby,
I loved Home Improvement.
Cosby was more or less the Cosby Show 2.0.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. There it is.
The Cosby Show all grown up. Bill Cosby and Felicia Rashad led that show again.
They wanted more of that money.
Yeah.
To check in with the primetime blocks of the major networks, Fox was dedicating a full hour to the Guinness World Records primetime hour.
Dude, that show was always the most wild thing because they had to do this there always had to be like a high priority record they were trying to break, but then it was like, how many rats can this man put in his pants? Like one dude's jumping from truck to truck, and then again it's like this dude puts marshmallows in his mouth. Cool, huh?
The chokehold Guinness Book of World Records had on my friend group at this time was
I don't remember the show.
Incomprehensible. Not even just the show, like the books.
The books.
Yeah.
Like if you had the Guinness Book of World Records book from the Scholastic Book Fair, you were the popular kid for the day because you had
Yeah.
the book with the curly fingernail guy in it, and
It did have the curly fingernailed guy, and it had the cover was like a reflective hollow foil cover.
that was
Yeah.
the 2000 edition, Todd.
It
yeah.
was the 2000 edition.
Sure
I'm
was.
so in the slipstream right now. I'm in.
Elsewhere, ABC is subsisting largely on Drew Carey at this point.
good for
And-
him.
Yeah, get your bag. NBC was doing a lot, and I mean a lot, of Dateline, and
Well, they had
CBS.
Friends.
Yeah,
It was
Friends
just- it
was
was-
on.
It was all gas, no breaks, all friends, no breaks.
And CBS had not only 60 Minutes, but also 60 Minutes 2, a different show that aired opposite 60 Minutes 3 days a week.
Real missed opportunity to call it 60 More Minutes.
Yeah,
Much
absolutely.
better title.
Okay,
I wonder, like, okay, time out. Obviously, they did. This was back when they would like pull a bunch of strangers into a room and ask them. Like, their test audience was literally people they would just grab at the mall.
Someone
and be
yeah,
like,
people who were anyone available at 2
Yep.
p.m. on a Tuesday in
Yeah.
Southern California. Yeah.
so they definitely did try that, and they're like, that's confusing. 60 more minutes.
okay. So you've got your groundwork. You understand how reality TV grew from 47 to 99. You have a comprehension of what's on TV at the time and what the networks are working with and what they are trying to accomplish. So let's move into how the three shows that are the focus of today's episode came to be. This section of the podcast contains all the bastard men, all of the worst people involved in this flavor text are in the next couple of sections. I defer to other podcasts like Behind the Bastards, or other Behind the Bastards likes.
Other
I was-
bastards like pods.
I've been fighting my urge to bring up the reality TV show episode or episodes of Behind the Bastards, because he does I think a two-parter on this era of like, here's all the TV execs that killed people by filming reality shows.
I have not
Cool.
listened to this one, and so I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to.
Don't
Yep.
know.
Yeah,
It's
that's next for me.
That's for Todd for sure.
Okay, so let's start with Survivor. It's the big one. I think it's the one that people have the most familiarity with. You guys remember that show we talked about earlier, Expedition Robinson? That was developed by a guy named Charlie Parsons in 1994. And it has all the pieces of Survivor generally that you'd be familiar with. There are tribes, there are challenges, somebody wins immunity, they
No
vote
Jeff
people off.
Probst.
No Jeff Probst. Jeff Probst.
Then I'm
involved.
out.
Sad.
Yeah.
So the show debuted in Sweden and was watched by a guy named Mark Burnett. Now, Mark Burnett, I don't know that much about Charlie Parsons. Charlie Parsons may also be a bastard man. Mark Burnett is a bastard man. And Behind the Bastards has probably talked about this guy. I don't know enough, but Kyle probably does. Kyle?
I'm not good at the retaining any of the names unless
Sure.
unless it's Vince McMahon or Henry Kissinger. But
Yeah.
looking at his resume here, I'm pretty sure he was in fact talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mark Burnett created The Apprentice, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, and Shark Tank. He also produced Survivor, The Voice, Beat Shazam, and a show I haven't heard of called Generation Gap. So,
Question.
yeah.
He's got a good mind for TV. I'll give him that.
Is it so in I can't get out of this infographic, the Kardashian infographic. It is poisoned my brain.
That
In-
was
in a
like
s-
20 minutes ago.
Sure was, Todd. In a similar fashion, is Mark Burnett single-handedly responsible for the state of our current political structure in God's realm, God's day 2024?
His hands aren't clean.
He has a controlling interest in those
'Cause
shares, at least, I think.
If because we don't get MAGA without Trump, we don't get Trump without the Apprentice.
We don't get Trump's base without Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? So yeah, this
Zing.
feels like
Oof.
I don't know. I watch that show sometimes. It's fine.
I am desperately scrolling for a quote that I should have written down that Mark Burnett said in 2016 about the ratings on actually it wasn't Mark Burnett, it was another bastard man we're going to talk about later. But yeah, Mark Burnett sucks a lot. He set up a lot of bad things. Moving on. Mark Burnett has also produced this weird little MTV special called Eco Challenge. You guys remember we talked about that a couple of minutes ago?
Yep.
Okay. Eco Challenge was Mark Burnett and his buddy ran an adventure race in France. And they were like, we could do this adventure race and film it and make a bunch of money. So they created their own version of the French adventure race, did it in Utah, turned it into a TV special, sold it to MTV. And Mark Burnett said, hey, I like some of the things about Expedition Robinson. I like some of the things about Eco Challenge. I want to punch up the Swedish version to be a little bit more like Eco Challenge. He referred to the Swedish version as being a bit crude and mean-spirited. I do not really know what that means.
Hold on, because I have seen some of the shows on his resume as well, and I would call a majority of them a bit crude and mean-spirited. So how bad is Swedish Expedition Robinson?
Yeah, Shark Tank very clearly will have people be like, your idea that you've put your whole life saving behind is shit.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I think that it mostly boiled down to production value. As far as I read, the Swedish version was much more of a survivalist show and didn't really focus on the drama amongst the people or, you know, have a particularly high value because it was cameras in the woods.
A little more Bear Grylls than Survivor.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, he wanted to raise the production value, focus on that human drama created under pressure, and after about a year of pitching, Burnett got the go-ahead from Les Moonves. Put a pin in that name. Go-ahead from Les Moonves of CBS. And Survivor Borneo was filmed during March and April of 2000 so that it could premiere on May 31st of 2000. Wow.
That's such quick turnaround.
That's such a quick turn.
Les Moonves could have only been the executive of CBS.
Yeah.
That is a name that he couldn't have done any other job.
The only way the reason why I will never forget that name is that episode of 30 Rock where they have a homeless guy that calls himself Moonvest.
Moonvest, because he wears a vest with moons on it. Yeah.
It's one of the best jokes that I think they did.
It really is.
So when you're talking about like, what's the first reality show? I think you can give a couple of answers, right? Like you could say Candid Camera, you could say An American Family, you could say Real World or Number 28. You could say a bunch of different things, but I do think there's a pretty honest argument to say Survivor is the first official reality TV show because it was the first to be both highly rated and, the important one, profitable. And that is the
reality. Maybe reality as a genre.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that, it's like that, there's like an old Pokemon joke where like it's who wants to be a millionaire question. What is the first Pokemon? And it's like Bulbasaur, Mew, Rhydon, and Arceus, because depending on how you frame that question, they are all the right answer. And I think that's the case here of like they're all we've talked about 4 first reality shows, but I think Andrew, the way Andrew put it, the first of reality as a genre was Survivor or The Real World. But
yeah, so that's Survivor. It's up and running as of May 31st, 2000, predating both Big Brother and The Amazing Race. And like I said, back half of this episode, we'll go through some of the seasons, but for now, that's where we're going to wrap on Survivor. Moving on, let's talk about the beginnings of Big Brother. So, In what could have only been a drug-fueled fever dream, this guy named Johannes Hendrikus Hubert John de Mol Jr. comes up with the idea for Big Brother.
Can Johannes perhaps be Johans? Is that...
Could be.
I mean, everything else is just a guess after that.
But he goes exclusively by John, so I do not know.
Fair.
But John de Mol also created The Voice, Fear Factor, and Deal or No Deal.
So we have him to blame for Joe Rogan.
For Joe Rogan.
Not entirely, but somewhat.
No.
I blame
it's
the man
the little
show.
domino.
I blame the
Rogan
man
had a
show for
career-
that.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, sports
Was
radio?
Joe Rogan on the Man Show?
No, yeah, he was.
What?
He was.
He was.
We'll circle back to that.
He was.
I
He was when Jimmy
When
Kimmel
they rebooted
and
it.
the other guy quit.
Oh.
He was.
Yeah.
The fill-in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
For like a year. Yeah, sports. Is it sports radio or something? Yeah, I know. He was.
Sports,
It was
I
a.
think it's sports radio.
It was.
yeah.
It was another like forgettable NBC late sitcom, primetime sitcom.
It was a short-lived NBC sitcom that all of your favorite. That is the inspiration for all of your favorite things from the 90s. Like everyone who Phil Hartman is on it. It is also the reason we have to deal with Andy Dick still here
Sports
today.
Night.
Sports Night. Yeah.
So, John de Mol, he's another one of your bastard mans. This guy is a bastard man. The first season of Big Brother aired in the Netherlands in 1999 and featured a horde of house guests locked in a minimalist house-like structure with cameras watching their every move. The first season was so minimal in the housing that it was advertised as having a quote-unquote survivalist element to the participation. Now, from what I read, the house had like running water and a little bit of furniture. I think the survivalist was more of we locked you in this box for a month and there's nothing to do than it was go make a shelter and hide under a tree. But
it was water, power, and all the granola bars you can eat and nothing else to do.
exactly.
Real quick, if I may just publish a quick errata, it was the show was News Radio. Sports Night was a different Aaron Sorkin show that I was getting confused. It is News Radio. Very good show of its time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know where else this goes, and I probably should have said it Survivor, because I think Big Brother is also one of the shows where they take their phones from them.
Yes.
Correct? Like no outside contact the world. Because there was a point where someone made the remark that people
Wait,
who...
shut up. You're going to spoil something later in the episode.
I'll
so
wait then.
You shut
I'll
the hell
wait.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah, so we've got Big Brother, again, aired in the Netherlands in 1999. Now, CBS bought the rights to launch the US version of the show in 2000 for around $20 million. You know who bought those rights? Les Moonves. That's right, it's Les Moonves, everybody.
Great.
And Big Brother 1 began in the US on July 5th, 2000, and it was a massive wet fart and commercial failure. We will get back to that later, but put a pin in it.
Okay.
All right. That's Survivor. That's Big Brother. Last but not least, let's talk about The Amazing Race. Your next Dutch bastard man of the day is a guy named Bertram Van Munster, who got his big break producing, drumroll please, Cops in 1988.
Oh, God.
Sweet.
Not only was he a EP on Cops, he was also listed as a quote-unquote field producer, which I find to be extra icky because that means he was out there doing the copping.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, I'm sure the one telling the cops when to go and or something. Yeah. Sometime in the year 2000, old Vanny Munns was shooting the shit with his wife, a woman named Elise Dogneri, about how there just weren't any good ideas in TV anymore. And they decided, hey, we had a great time backpacking in Europe. Is that anything?
and The Amazing Race was born.
That's least
the, the whitest sentence.
No. That's a really nice clip in a Vanity Fair article.
That too.
That's what I was gonna say. If that were the beginning, middle, and end of this, wholesome, wonderful. However, it kind of erases like the shittiness of the dude involved. But cool.
Yeah, and let's be clear, when it was just the two of them, they did not have a full show put together. They were like, we want to race people across Europe. How do? And so the lighter fluid on the Amazing Race Fire was supplied by a guy named Jonathan Littman, president of Jerry Bruckheimer Television.
Those are some names.
That's a name.
Does the name Jerry Bruckheimer sound familiar? That's because his name's on everything. Let me list a few. Flashdance, Black Hawk Down, Top Gun, Pirates of the Caribbean, National Treasure, CSI, Cold Case, and the movie that taught me what false advertising is, Kangaroo Jack.
I like that Kangaroo Jack was your closing example in a list that included Top Gun.
Really a
Pirates
very
of the
on-brand
Caribbean.
move for Matt.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to unpack that statement, but we don't have the time.
Kangaroo Jack is the chicken shoot of this this flavor text. We're all just vaguely familiar with it, but we don't really fully understand how much it's impacted Matt.
I watched Kangaroo Jack more than once growing up. I know what Matt's talking about. I
didn't even have Tim Allen in it.
Didn't even have Tim Allen in it.
Could have.
Probably did.
Hey, can I get like a tight 2 for those of us who are just not in on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kangaroo Jack is a movie starring what's
Tim
that guy's
Allen?
name? No, it's
Zachary Levi.
you'll know
They're the same person.
Jerry O'Connell. It's Jerry O'Connell and
Okay.
Jerry O'Connell, Anthony Anderson, and
Anthony
a CGI
Anderson.
kangaroo.
That's
And-
right. You may remember Jerry O'Connell as the fat kid from Sandlot.
You might. In Christopher Walken is also in this movie. All of the advertising.
Michael Shannon?
Wait, hold on. All of the advertising for Kangaroo Jack, every single trailer made it abundantly clear that
Every ad had a CGI kangaroo rapping and dancing along with Rapper's Delight. That's Matt. I don't want Matt to beat around the bush here. Everything I saw up until I watched this movie had a CGI kangaroo rapping along with Rapper's Delight.
What I was going to say is that the advertising made it look like the kangaroo talked. Kangaroo doesn't talk. They Madam Webbed us. They Madam Webbed us, that movie did.
It's the scene of the kangaroo rapping along to Rapper's Paradise is from a dream / drug hallucination sequence.
They really
in
did.
the movie.
They really did Madam Web us.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so enough about Kangaroo Jack. Littman, Bruckheimer, Van Munster, and Doganieri refined their idea, pitched it to CBS, and the first season premiered on September 5th, 2001.
Ooh.
Yeah, rough.
So,
I think we talked about that.
We did. We breached this in the episode.
yeah. So, how in this absolute glut of reality content did CBS secure itself 3 absolute bangers? Well, that's thanks to a monster we've already talked about named Les Moonves. Moonves joined CBS as president of CBS Entertainment in July 95. In 1998, Moonves became president and CEO of CBS, and for a reason that may never truly be articulated, was the one to greenlight all 3 of these reality juggernauts. Now, much like most TV executives, Moonves is a shitbag. He's also married to Big Brother host and general CBS personality Julie Chen. I'm not going to waste my time diving into his deep lore because that's not what we're doing today. But what's important to note here is that I think Les Moonves will go down as one of the most important accidental anthropologists in human history. I'm going to close this podcast out by giving my opinion on why these shows are important, but before I do, we're going to go through an abbreviated history of each show and highlight some of the biggest moments along the way. All of that coming up right after this.
A new tribe is forming.
Since I got the first call, I was so excited. I know tens of thousands of people applied.
And I always said, I'm going to be on that show one day. I'm going to do it.
Oh, there we are.
What's happening, baby?
Good morning.
Zap.
Pick me for this show.
I'm perfect for this game.
I want this so bad.
I can outwit anybody. I got a 4-year-old.
As I always say, stay positive, test negative. See y'all soon.
Damn, Bob! I feel it in my soul.
We're doing it!
Takes a lot to commit to doing something insane like this.
In real life, people think I'm a nut. But out here, I'm about to kill it.
The new season of Survivor premieres Wednesday, February 28th on CBS.
All right, welcome back. It is time to go through each of these shows season by season. Big asterisks. I'm not talking about every season of every one of these shows. Survivor has 47 seasons. The other two shows have about 10 less than that.
That's coward.
Over 100 seasons.
So many.
Look, Kyle, I'd like to go back to the 4.5-hour Five Nights at Freddy's podcast and ask you if you want me to do that, because I can.
I have an Adderall prescription now, Matt. Don't challenge me.
So I'm going to go through these three shows: Survivor first, Amazing Race second, Big Brother third. And that's important because I'm going to talk a little bit about the first season of Big Brother, one of the wildest things to ever be put on television, but we'll get there. So, Survivor. Here's the rundown of the show for those who are unfamiliar. A bunch of people are dumped on an island to survive for a predetermined amount of time. Along the way, they play challenges to win both rewards and immunity for being voted off. The contestants are split into competing tribes from the jump, and those tribes eventually merge into one individual tribe. When there are only 3 contestants left, a jury composed of already eliminated contestants votes to select the sole survivor, who wins $1 million. The show is hosted by Jeff Probst, the patron saint of button-ups and cargo shorts.
Is it still $1 million? Like, they haven't changed it. They haven't adjusted for inflation in 20 years.
Still $1 million, and that's pre-tax, baby. Remember,
Pre-tax, yeah.
The real enemy is
This
the
will be
luxury
important,
tax.
This will be important later.
Always get lump sum. Don't get the installments.
Okay, so here are some fun facts about Survivor. In the first 11 seasons of the show, from 2000 to 2006, it was consistently ranked by Nielsen ratings as one of the 10 most viewed shows in America. Wow. It has been nominated in its 24-year history for 63 Emmy Awards.
What category?
Oh, a whole bunch of them.
God.
A whole bunch.
Yeah. It's like the Olympics, and Regis and Kathy Lee have a bunch of Emmy Awards.
Yeah,
like Regis and whatever. Yeah.
It was renewed for the 24-25 season, with season 47 set to premiere on September 18th of 2024, and season 48, already contract signed, I believe airs in May of 25.
My God. Yeah, they're doing them just like, they're cranking them out now.
They're at least going to hit 50. When you're at 47, you don't cancel it before you hit 50.
Yeah. Since the year 2001, Survivor has aired 2 seasons a year, every year. It's amazing.
The Voice does 4. The Voice does 4 seasons a year.
But no one's ever seen The Voice, so that doesn't count.
So I want to actually go off of that, like, and back to Matt's first point. CBS consistently has, like, the CBS shows consistently have, like, they're not maybe not always the number 1 show in America, but they're always in the top 5. Just consistently the most consistently viewed shows on its network that you have never heard of until it goes into its 7th season.
That's how CBS has always been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, since I was a kid, it's the channel that's always on in retirement homes and hospitals.
And you don't
that
hear
isn't
about
Fox News.
You hear about the shows when they air, or like premiere, and then you don't hear about them again until it's like Young Sheldon has 7 seasons.
Oh,
and
God.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. You know, say what you want about Les Moonves, and I've said a lot. I will say that he was a really very good thing for the CBS Corporation when it came to making money from 95 to 2005. I read a stat today
and
that
Chuck Lorre.
Yeah. That at one point during his tenure as president, 6 of the 11 primetime shows on CBS were in the top 10 most viewed shows in America, which is insane. My last little fun fact about Survivor was from 2000 to 2018, you had to be an American citizen to compete in Survivor. Interesting, because Survivor is not filmed anywhere near America ever.
Right.
But you had to be an American citizen because the license that Mark Burnett purchased from Charlie Parsons of Expedition Robinson limited competitors to only American seasons. That went so far that one season they forced the guy who ended up winning, who was a dual citizen to Canada and America, to give up his Canadian citizenship to play the game. Luckily, he did win, but he is no longer Canadian. That changed in 2018. You can now be a Canadian citizen or an American citizen, but that's it. Nobody else. Those are the only people allowed to play.
That's wild. There's a lot of reasons why that's crazy, but it also comes back to like what is the most one of the most common criticisms of Survivor, which is the idea that like most of the places that they go, some type of indigenous people live there, and just like that's just their home.
Just live there.
They just live there.
Yeah. I straight up did not have time to get into the sustainability of specifically Survivor and Amazing Race in this episode, but I would love to do that.
But hundreds of Polynesian islands are left with the remains of various obstacle courses, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of mini Olympics every year, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing, and like, again, look, I'm not here to defend monolithic corporations. Survivor has landed on a filming location. They stay in Fiji. They always set up in Fiji, largely because they have developed the infrastructure to film. So I do think it's gotten better. That is not to say that it is good.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do now, I've got a bunch of seasons lined up. I'm just going to run through a couple of quick hits. If there's anything you want to hear more about, let me know. And we're just going to breeze on through. So season 1, Survivor Borneo, the one everybody's seen. The winner is a guy named Richard Hatch. You see a whole lot of his blurred out dong.
Hold that excitement, Kyle.
That was his thing. He was like, that was. I remember the like Meet the Contestants episode. His fun fact was like, I'm not gonna wear underwear a lot, and
well, and
boy was he right.
It became a thing because like he would just be naked all the time, and there was I don't know what the result was. I know there's at least an allegation of like him touching someone with his dong, and it is unclear to me if it was like he weaponized his nudity or if that's just what happens when you play the naked game.
I mean,
but I know that happened.
I mean, his like confessionals implied he weaponized his nudity. Like
and that
so
leads
I don't
to
see it as much of a stretch to think
that definitely leads to the conversation of like, if you're naked on the island, like what does weaponizing your nudity mean in this game of Survivor? But I think you're right.
If you're naked on the island, you're naked in real life.
It's international waters time.
For what
if in the jungle you must wait naked until you roll a 5 or 8? Is that anything?
For the record, the allegation of Richard Hatch weaponizing his dong was not this season. It's when he came back in season 8.
Oh, good.
But
cool.
Let the fame go to his head. That's
Richard Hatch, who is the impetus of my joke at the top of the episode, The real enemy is the luxury tax. Richard Hatch would go to prison for something like 4.5 years for not paying taxes on his $1 million Survivor payout.
And there was like an additional tacked onto there too. It was the 4.5 years, and then it was like something extra because he failed to report something else. Like it was like, oh, you're going to jail for 4 years, and then another 9 months because of this other very similar crime you've decided to commit.
He was always meant to be on TV. That's my takeaway from that.
Court TV, yes.
Yes.
The one thing that I'll say, and then I'm moving on, Richard Hatch won the first season of Survivor because of that thing that Todd said earlier, where in the beginning, Survivor was a lot of people showing up to survive on an island, do a social experiment, not play a game. Not Richard Hatch. Richard Hatch showed up to play a game, and he is very much the first person to play and win Survivor. Okay. Moving on, season 2, you've got Survivor, the Australian Outback, the season that made my mom stop watching Survivor. The winner was Tina Wesson, and this season is less of a competition reality show and more of just actual torture. You cannot just leave 15 people on the Australian Outback and expect it to be okay. There's a stark lack of water, there are constantly lions about, and it is a nightmare. Watching this season is actually difficult and feels like a human rights violation.
I mean, there's at least now, like, the production crew intervenes when there's a typhoon showing up. Now, granted, they won't help them rebuild their settlement after the typhoon wipes it out. But like,
they'll get them into a hotel.
They'll evacuate them for a night. And then, like, there's other times where Jeff Probst shows up and says, hey, you guys have been out of food for 2 days. I'm going to let you win some rice, but you got to give up your tarp. Like at least they're like, we're going to make sure you don't die on live TV, but like, we got to do a little other thing too.
Yeah.
What season had the person who face planted into the fire as they were trying to build a fire?
Oh, I remember that.
It was one of these 2.
3, I think. I think it was.
Oh, it was 3?
It might have been season 2. It very much could have been season 2. It was season 2 or season 3.
It couldn't have been 3 because I remember that. I think it was 2. I think it was 2.
I don't think I watched 3.
Then it was 2.
Okay.
Moving on, Survivor season 3. That's Africa. Winner, nicest guy in the world, Ethan Zahn. More torture, a little bit less than Australia, but notably, it's the one Survivor filmed on like a completely inland location, which is tough. It's just real tough. Survivor season 4, Survivor Marquesas in 2002. Winner is Vesepia Towery, better known as V. This is the first appearance of Survivor mascot Boston Rob Mariano.
And they cannot get enough of Boston Rob.
Boston Rob is the white Power Ranger of Survivor.
Boston Rob is the white Power Ranger of Survivor.
He's Tommy.
Holy shit, I love that.
I don't know if you're going to talk about this at some point, but like later on, like decade, 2 decades later, they bring Boston Rob back with another one of the winners as like the sages on the island. Like one of your prizes for winning a competition is you get to go spend a night on the island with like Boston Rob and this other contestant who's won multiple times as they impart their sage wisdom as to how to win the game.
Were they like survivors like Statler and Waldorf? To like, did they like show in and like
kinda? That was
more helpful than that, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was Island of the Idols. For what it's worth, Boston Rob has competed on Survivor more than anyone else. He has been on 5 seasons of this shit.
Incredible.
Literally the White Ranger.
Imagine you get on Survivor, like your big break as a wannabe like low tier celebrity, and you learn Boston Rob is back for the like 5th time to compete against you.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so funny whenever they bring back these repeat people who've been there 3 or 4 times, everyone is like, we can't trust Boston Rob. We can't trust him. He's always going to play well. Don't trust him. And then by like day 3, someone in their confessional is like, Boston Rob brought me in. I'm in with Boston Rob. Boston Rob and he said he's going to take me to the last 3. Boston Rob and we're so tight.
Because you make it on TV by being charismatic, and that's when you're dehydrated and starving, a charismatic reality star probably can talk you into a lot of stuff.
Well, and like they'll always be those Boston Rob characters are always like, hey, I understand you don't associate with me. It's going to make you a target. Totally get it. But then he catches him at the watering well, and he's like, you know, we could work together. And they're like, man, Boston Rob's got a good point.
Boston Rob Mariano is the perfect Fallout NPC. I will not be taking questions at this time.
Sure.
Season 4 ends what I think most people would call the golden era of Survivor. Season 5's in Thailand. It sucks. Nobody cares. Season 6, Survivor Amazon in 2003. Winner, Jenna Maraska from Pittsburgh, PA. I met her. I have her autograph. She did a college talk at Slippery Rock.
I remember this was huge in our area, yes.
Yeah. Survivor Season 6, the first season where they start with the tribes divided by gender. A play which they will run into the fucking ground.
I remember these ads, at least.
Moving on, we've got also season 6 is very good. Moving on, season 7, Survivor Pearl Islands, the beginning of what I think people would call like the silver age of Survivor. The winner is a woman named Sandra Diaz Twine. She was the other one brought back in that season with Rob Mariano, where they make giant stone statues out of their faces.
Yeah. Sandra is like Sandra, like Boston Rob's a strategic player. Sandra's the one that shows up and she looks at the camera in the third. I think she's won twice. That she like she'll sit down and she'll be like, "I'm gonna win, and here's how I'm gonna win. I'm going to get the stupidest, strongest person to be on my team." And then I'm going to just throw them into the road in front of the biggest bus. And then I'm going to find another stupid, strong person. And I'm going to throw them away. And I'm going to do that until I win.
So season 7 also has the first appearance of another Survivor favorite named Rupert and the TV douchebag known as Johnny Fairplay, who very famously on season 7 of Survivor lied to the cast that while filming, his grandmother had died and played the joke up that his grandma had died to get favor and stay in the game longer, only to then reveal his grandma to the cast at the reunion show.
I might have seen this. I might have seen more of this season than I think, because I remember that. I remember Rupert vaguely. And yeah.
So that's season...
And honestly, that's not even like the top 5 vilest things done by a contestant to get ahead in Survivor. It doesn't even scratch the surface.
I know that's tame by behind the scenes reality TV standards. Incredible television too.
Right.
What a good thing to have happen on your reality TV show.
So, like I said, season 5 and 6 weren't great. Season 7, first good one since season 4. Season 8 kicks the Silver Age up a notch with our first ever All-Stars competition. Something that Big Brother and The Amazing Race will quickly do themselves, but they bring a bunch of folks back from the first 7 seasons. The winner is Amber Burkich, who goes on to marry Boston Rob Mariano. And we all get to learn what love is through the eyes of Boston Rob and Amber, who work together to win this season of Survivor.
This would be the only other season of Survivor that I watched, and was the most fun I ever had watching Survivor.
Are Boston Rob and Amber still together?
Yes,
they are.
Very much
good.
So. Yeah.
Good
so,
for them.
I don't need to go into like the Survivor deep lore. Like I said, you can see it on Cameo. It's all there. But there's like a crew of Survivor alum from this era. Ethan Zahn, winner of Africa. Pavardi Shallow, who we'll talk about in a couple of seasons, that all like still hang out. Tyson is another guy in that group. Not super relevant, but yeah, they're all still buds. Moving on, skipping a couple more seasons, we've got season 12, Survivor Panama. Winner was a guy named Eris I'm going to screw this up. Baskusekas. This is the first season with something called Exile Island, which is a twist that comes and goes from Survivor. Basically, when you get voted out, you can either go home and be like, I'm out, or you can go live on Exile Island alone, and maybe they'll give you a chance to get back into the game. Or maybe they won't. You don't know.
The way I would describe it is like Exile Island is kind of like, hey, do you want to see how bad old Survivor was? Because we're going to put you on a beach with nothing. Do you want rice? It's at the top of that mountain. We'll tell you where to get the rice, but you're going to have to walk 40 minutes up a mountain to get any rice. Or like, you'll go to Exile Island. It'll be like, oh, do you want to get off the island? You have to haul every coconut from this beach to that side of the beach in the next 5 hours with no water.
It's like playing Survivor in a private Survivor Classic in a private server.
It's exactly, that's so niche and a joke for the 4 people on this podcast, but you're right.
This also, but at this point, Flavor of Love would have started airing on VH1.
Yeah,
it started in 200006.
Great
time.
Yeah, we also are firmly in the wife swap era too. We didn't get to talk about it, but I want to reference it.
Osbournes are here too, right?
Yeah, Osbournes would have been a bit before. Flavor of Love.
Gene Simmons' Family Jewels also happening.
Yeah, the legitimate, like, okay, you're not just becoming a celebrity from reality TV, but celebrities will now have their own reality TV shows.
Oh, the Osbournes was 02.
Sick.
Okay.
Moving on, season 13, Survivor Cook Islands, aired in 2006. Winner, guy named Yul Kwan, also nicest guy in the world. Hey, they started this one by splitting the tribes up by race, and it did not go over well.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
That's
big yuck.
I didn't know they did that exactly one time.
For 12 seasons, everybody was like, hey, Survivor, your diversity is bad. You don't have enough diversity in your cast. You only have white people. And then Survivor was like, we have so many not white people, we can put them in groups by themselves. Isn't that better? Yeah, it sucks. Not the best move that Survivor has done.
Matt, how many or how long till the first separate but equal joke in that season?
I have not rewatched that season recently, but I am working my way through, and I will tell you when I get there.
Don't know if I could actually watch that with 2024 eyes. Watch 2006 content.
That's rough. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Season 16, Survivor Micronesia. It's 2008 now. My Survivor crush, who I have had a crush on, I think literally since I was 6 years old. Poverty Shallow. She wins. She is now in a relationship with comedian Mae Martin, who has a special on Netflix that's very good. So there you go. This season was fans versus favorites. So kind of like All Stars 2, they brought back some people that everybody liked and then brought some Survivor super fans on. And I think this is probably the season where that switch happens from this is a social experiment where one person gets to win to this is a game and that one person needs to be me.
I can see that. The fans would have their whole thing would have been, I'm going to win because I've watched every episode and I know how to beat these challenges. And then people liked that, so they picked more people who would take that strategy in future seasons. I can see that happening.
You start to see more of that after the first All-Star season, but I think Micronesia is where it really kicks off. Season 22, Survivor Redemption Island in 2011. Winner, Boston Rob Mariano. Boston Rob finally gets his. And this was the last season that I watched for 9 years. This was the season that aired before I went to college. And then I really lost my ability to keep up with all this stuff regularly. So I don't have a ton of information between 2011 and 2020. We'll get there. The one that I do have information on, season 34, Survivor Game Changers in 2017. It's a very famous moment on the internet. The winner of that season was somebody named Sarah Lachina. And The big viral moment. Jeff Probst says trans rights. Somebody on the cast.
I know this story.
Yeah. Somebody on the cast is trans and is very selective about who they come out to, as is, of course, their right, and has not told the whole cast. And then during tribal council, one of the other contestants basically says, and that guy's trans and didn't tell me about it. And Jeff Probst's response is to stop the show and basically say, get the fuck off my stage, you're done.
And chastise this person. Good.
Yeah.
Good for Jeff Probst.
I watched this season, and the way that goes down, like some more context, is this dude is getting, he's not even the prime target to necessarily go out in that vote. But, you know, obviously everyone's jockeying for votes before they do the vote. And he's clear he is on the chopping block. And he's like trying to defend himself. He's like, well, so-and-so is being dishonest. He's got a huge secret. He's not telling any of you. And like they pan to this man who's just like looking left and right, like, what the fuck? And that's when the dude's like, well, he's trans and he didn't tell you. And that's him being dishonest. And Jeff Probst, like Matt said, basically stops the whole thing and is like, I don't think we actually need to vote. I think you just leave.
Wow.
Like, everyone wants you to leave now. And effectively, everyone is like, yeah, get the fuck out. And they don't even vote. That dude they just basically group shun him away.
Yeah.
And like Matt said, Jeff Probst is like, that's never okay. We protect each other. Go eat shit. Get off the island. You don't get your torch extinguished. You're just leaving.
Everyone throw sand at him while they leave.
Yeah. It is a really good moment too. Like it's just really good how TV did that moment in, 2017.
The last season of Survivor that I want to highlight is season 40, Survivor Winners at War. Began airing like February 17th of 2020. And boy, was I looking for things to watch February 17th of 2020. Sure. Winners at War, they brought back All-Stars, but only people who had won. And they were like, which one of you millionaires wants to win a $2 million? And it was dubs only. And this is the one that got me back in. It's Boston Rob's 5th season. It's dad Boston Rob. It's crazy. It's like the Mystic Force, I think, is the one that Tommy comes back as a history professor. Right. Yeah, that's how they got me back, and I've kept up with Survivor ever since. And I'll be honest, the season of Survivor that just ended is one of the best seasons of Survivor I've ever seen.
Good to hear.
I'm imagining the you're gonna be doing this till you're 90 joke from Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's Jeff Probst saying it to Boston Rob.
Yeah, it's true.
There's 2 seasons you didn't mention that I wanted to highlight real quick. So it is season 37, I think, David and Goliath. That's a really good one. They basically pair them up by like, are you a nerd or are you not a nerd?
It's jocks and nerds, yeah.
Yeah, and they're very loose with like Goliath. Like, are you a Titan and that you're big and strong, or are you a Titan of business or whatever?
Are you a beauty or a geek?
You beauty and geek. And one of the Davids is the nerdiest man you've ever seen. And like, he's so intelligent and so smart. And there's this one event where they have to like stand on this really narrow ledge and put their hands over their head or whatever. And it's him as the David and like a Goliath. And it's down to those two. And they stand on this thing for like 4.5 hours, like 5 hours. And the whole time, this like nerdy guy is like, hey, Jeff, can I tell stories while I'm up here? And Jeff Probst is like, yeah, I can't stop you. And he's just saying the most boring, nerdy shit. And you see the life just drain out of the Goliath guy. Like, and there's actually a really, really good TV moment where the Goliath guy is at risk of being voted out. The David guy is not. And the Goliath guy is like fading. And he turns to the David guy. David guy's name is Christian. And he goes, Christian, you have to let me win. I'm at risk to go home. You're not. And Christian looks at him. He goes, I know. Yeah. And like Christian doesn't win, but neither does that guy. The other thing that I was going to mention is that in 44. Yeah. In Survival 44, they had another really nerdy guy. Really nice guy. I don't think he ended up winning. They did one of their puzzles and the kid solves the puzzle in like 90 seconds. And Jeff Probst is like, what happened here? How did you do that? And they show a video and the kid's like, I've studied the puzzle and I 3D printed a version of it at home. Like, you've used this puzzle before.
Oh.
I 3D printed this puzzle and I knew how to put it together.
Oh my God.
And then like show him like putting that puzzle together at home and you're like, oh shit. So they don't use that puzzle anymore.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So there is my highlight hit list of Survivor. It's great. Of these three, I think it is objectively the best. I think it is objectively the easiest to watch and keep track of. It is also the one with the largest institution around it, which means that you're always going to not know something that somebody else knows, because they're always going to reference a season you haven't watched or bring back somebody you don't care about. It's just the name of the game, but it's very good. I like it. The modern era of Survivor, which is what they call it now, is different. It's like 2 weeks or 3 weeks shorter than it used to be. It's fine. I enjoy it. Okay, moving on. Let's do the Amazing Race. Same bit, less to talk about than Survivor. Here's the rundown of the show if you're unaware. Teams of two, except for that one time, race around the world, competing in challenges along the way to earn clues to their next location. The last team to check in at the checkpoint at the end of each race leg is eliminated, and the first team to cross the line wins $1 million pre-tax.
Sometimes you get hit in the face with a watermelon.
Sometimes you get hit in the face with a watermelon. This one is hosted by Phil Kogan, patron saint of sun hats and expressive eyebrows. And here are some fun facts. 9/11 almost killed this show. Why? Because it aired on September 5th, 2001. Yeah. First season ratings were really low because it aired on September 5th, 2001. However, legend has it that Sarah Jessica Parker made a direct call to Les Moonves and said, I like this show, keep it, and he did.
Oh,
that's
okay.
like the reboot version of learning Lucy from I Love Lucy is the reason we got Star Trek. Like, that's just like,
yeah,
not a name I thought was gonna come up in this episode at all.
Also important to note here that by this point, we're 3 seasons deep in Survivor. Les Moonves knows he can make a reality show, make $1 gajillion. We're also already wrapping up or have wrapped up Big Brother season 2. So confidence in reality shows for CBS is there. This one just unfortunately aired at an unfortunate time. Other fun facts. They tried a family version of The Amazing Race in 2005, and it sucked. Everybody hated it, and it's bad. And I rewatched it, and it's boring.
Family version how? Like children competing?
Instead of teams of 2, it was teams of 4, mom, dad, and 2 kids. And they didn't race internationally. They stayed in America.
Yeah,
and then
if you have kids, you have a lot more rules you have to adhere to.
I think they went to South America once, but
that's a bad idea. Bad idea from the jump.
The Amazing Race has 10 Emmys for Outstanding Reality Competition Program, and season 37 is set to premiere in 2025. Here are some notable moments from The Amazing Race. Season 2 in 2002, the winners were Chris and Alex. It ends in an actual honest-to-God foot race. Decides who wins $1 million, and it's pretty awesome. Season 5...
One would say amazing.
Some would say that. Season 5 in 2004, winners Chip and Kim. One guy almost gets arrested in Africa. It's stressful. Season 6, 2004, winners Freddie and Kendra. We meet Jonathan and Victoria. Maybe the worst people to ever be put on television.
That's a bold claim.
That's a big statement.
It's a husband and wife, and he pushes her down a mountain. So,
That's rough.
This also has the first appearance of what will become known as the hay bale challenge, something that will come back, where contestants are forced to just unroll hay bales until they find a clue in one. The team that got eliminated unrolled hay bales for something like 8 hours and never found one until Phil came out to the field and said, everybody else checked in 2 hours ago, go home. And that's it.
If they let me do it for 2 more hours after everyone else checked in, Phil Kogan would have died by my hands.
Catch these hands.
Yeah.
I just searched Freddie and Kendra Amazing Race, and the first hit is KKK Kendra.
What?
It's
I don't know anything about that.
Amazing Race fail moments. Number 1, Kendra.
I feel like now that you say that, I have seen that name before and wonder if she like said the N-word on
I don't know anything about that.
You don't have to be a good person to win any of these things.
No. In fact, it's usually probably a hindrance.
I mean, they don't screen for good. Survivor usually throws 1 or 2 good humans on the island, but these races, like the Amazing Race, is not looking for like 2 friends that get around really well that are just wholesome.
They need 8 pairs of people every episode of Amazing Race? Yeah.
At minimum, 6 of them are going to be trash.
They're not screening anyone.
Kyle, for the record, it is the same cast through the entire season. They don't switch new people, everyone.
Okay.
I'm not going to click on that YouTube link until later. Moving on to season 7, winners Uchenna and Joyce. Hey, they roll a car on live TV and a cameraman gets hurt, and then they show footage of that cameraman and the rolled car being hurt. It's tough. I say all the time, it's kind of like a running joke between Maddie, my partner, and I, that like, well, they won't let you die on Amazing Race. They won't let you die on Amazing Race if you're competing. And that's all I'll say about that.
I don't know. When that woman took a watermelon to the face, I was convinced she was dead.
Also in season 7, hey, Boston Rob Mariano and Amber Burkich are here.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Famously in this season, Boston Rob convinces 2 other teams to take a 4-hour penalty that they do not need to take and then supersedes both of those teams. It's pretty incredible.
It's a real Power Rangers meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type of crossover experience.
Well, and once again, it's just that whole thing of like Boston Rob's here and everyone's like, don't trust Boston Rob. And then one person's like, hey guys, Boston Rob told me about a shortcut. You guys want to go?
I'll jump back to season 6. I did watch the 22-second clip Andrew posted to the chat. She doesn't say the N-word, but that might have been better than what she did say.
I tell you what, I see the thumbnail on this and immediately remember that scene. So
yeah, sure.
Got it. Yeah. It'll be linked in the show notes for all you freaks anyway. Anyway,
that won't be in my search history.
Season 11 in 2007, 4 years after Survivor did, 3 years after Survivor did All Stars, Amazing Race is doing All Stars. Winners, Eric and Danielle. Season 14 in 2009, winners, Tammy and Victor. Hey, this one's got the Cheese Hill Challenge. What's the Cheese Hill Challenge, you might ask?
It's that famous thing they do in that one country.
It sure is that famous thing they do. They roll cheese down a hill, and the contestant has to roll after and catch the cheese. Unfortunately, it was raining that day. Hilarity ensues.
People break arms and legs doing that.
Yeah.
People break arms and legs rolling down a hill? No way.
Well, and let's be clear, this is like... It is not rolling. Like, they sprint down the hill, and it's like a 45-degree angle hill. And, like, there's a documentary out there on Netflix. It's tough.
Also on season 14, you've got Mike White, the guy from School of Rock. He's here with his dad. All right. Season 15.
I think he cites this as, like, where he got the idea for White Lotus. Or, like...
Oh, I don't know.
Something about White Lotus spun out of the season of Survivor he did.
Mike White shows up on Survivor and Amazing Race. He's all over the place.
O.J. Simpson is responsible for White Lotus too. My God.
Season 15 in 2009, winners Megan and Cheyenne. A team is eliminated because one girl won't go down a water slide. The options are go down the water slide or lose your chance for $1 million. And she says, no, I will not go down that water slide. It's pretty incredible.
We stand somebody with principles.
Yeah. Good.
You gotta have boundaries.
Gotta have boundaries.
It's really something. I believe that's also the same season where a girl refuses to shave her head for $1 million. It's a thing. Anyway.
Also good for them.
Season 17, winners, Nat and Kat. You guys watched it. It's the watermeloning season.
It's really good.
High velocity watermelon impact on this one. Season 20 in 2012, winners, Dave and Rachel. Hey, a couple named Brendan and Rachel from Big Brother compete in this one, and it's rough. It's really rough. Also, this was the last season I watched for the same reason. I went to college, and I did not catch much after this.
What is rough about Brendan and Rachel? Tight
Everything.
Five.
Their relationship. I mean, just like, you know, sometimes people come out of reality shows and get married, and it's like Rob and Amber, and you see them for 20 years. And then sometimes people get married after reality shows, and you're like, what the fuck were you thinking?
It's like
and
every couple from The Bachelor.
Yeah.
And to steal a line from dropout.tv, we're going to make this everyone else's problem now.
Yeah. It is. They are so cruel to each other that it is tough to watch.
I'm a little surprised that, I mean, granted, this is 2012, there's more to come. I'm kind of surprised there's not more like stunt casts showing up. More like high pro, like, and then this one couple that you know from this thing, like that a bit surprising so far.
Todd, I tell you what, I appreciate you not reading ahead. Season 25, winners, Amy and Maya. Hey, Bethany Hamilton is here. Who's Bethany Hamilton, you might ask? That surfer who got her arm bit off by a shark. She competes in The Amazing Race.
Ah, okay. I see where we're going now.
Season 28 in 2016, winners, Dana and Matt. Hey, Tyler Oakley is here. Remember Tyler Oakley? He was on YouTube for a while. Tyler Oakley is here. Season 30, winners, Cody and Jessica. Hey, Joey Chestnut is here. Joey
Needs
Chestnut,
no
the hot
explanation.
dog
I know
guy.
that name.
Yeah. Season 31, and this is when I came back into The Amazing Race. 2019, winners Colin Gwynn and Christy Woods. This season is Survivor versus Big Brother versus The Amazing Race, where they get like 4 teams of alums from all 3 shows and make them compete, and it fucking rules. It's the
Made in a
best.
lab for Matt Cole.
Made in a lab for me. And that's how I got back in. And now I keep up with The Amazing Race again, and I'm really enjoying it. I really like The Amazing Race. They've recently changed their formatting a little bit, and they got away from people booking their own flights, which has honestly made the competition a lot better. Yeah, I really like The Amazing Race. When I say that I think Survivor is objectively the best of the 3 shows, I stand by that. Amazing Race is my favorite of the 3. I think Amazing Race is a more fun watch, personally. All right. Last but not least, let's knock out Big Brother. I have the least to say about this one, which is why I saved it for the end. Here's your show rundown. A bunch of strangers are locked in a home where they compete in various challenges to earn various rewards, ranging from groceries to immunity through the coveted position of head of household. Big Brother is different from Survivor in The Amazing Race because it is aired live, with house guests being completely sequestered from the outside world during the game. The last one standing wins $750,000 pre-tax. This show is hosted by Julie Chen, patron saint of awkward interviews and supporting your husband through Me Too movements. Season 2 filmed until September 20th, 2001.
That's what I was getting ready to ask earlier. You got it.
So, if everybody's sequestered and has no contact from the outside world and films the show until September 20th, that means that approximately 3 people existed in a world for 9 days where 9/11 didn't happen.
Well, at least it was delayed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick in this, I don't know if you have this answer. Approximately how long do they film? Is it like a month?
It's 3 months, I think. I think it's 90 days. Or it used to be. I don't know how long it is now.
Sure. I know Survivor went from like, it was 40 and now it's closer to 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, this is the prime example that I was getting at earlier that I didn't get into it. I'm glad you revealed it here. Is that like people that do this shit are just removed from society for like 4 to 6 weeks or longer. And it's just wild to think that then they're just dropped back into it. And at some point, a producer has to sit them down and be like, hey, okay, I'm going to give you your phone back. But before I do that, I need to go through a quick bullet list real quick of some stuff.
Let me give you a modern example of that. There is currently a season of Big Brother airing, and it is believed that the house guests do not know that Donald Trump was shot, and we definitely know that they don't know Joe Biden dropped out. So that's fun.
Yep, I think I did see that online.
Do they know about RFK Jr.'s brainworm?
Couldn't tell you, Kyle. I really couldn't. Season 26, the one currently airing, premiered July 17th, 2024. Here are a couple of fun facts. Kyle, what you said earlier, the estate of George Orwell sued CBS Television for copyright and trademark infringement. It was settled out of court.
Yeah, it was.
As of 2023, there have been 508 seasons of Big Brother in over 63 franchise countries and regions.
How?
Yeah,
for sure.
But how, though?
I think
How
if you
though?
have more than, I think if you live in a country that has like more than 3 broadcast stations, you have a Big Brother affiliate. On one of
it's
them.
the same reason why they're going to keep cranking out those Love is Blind shows. Like your set is a house. Like, obviously, there's a lot of production necessary, but like,
I guess that makes sense.
set is house. Shove people in. You're just paying them kind of the prize and like some residuals, and that's about it.
And like, this was the time these all started at the time when like digital recording became a thing. So production costs are way down. Like, once you got the cameras and the set, then you just need a bunch of idiots that'll embarrass themselves for $5,000, and there's your budget. Like, yeah.
And you don't even need a set, or you don't even need a house. The first like 5 seasons of Big Brother America are filmed in reconstructed shipping containers on a CBS backlot. So
for sure,
there's
great.
Couple of other quick fun facts. Season 1 of Big Brother is 70 episodes because the show aired 6 nights a week.
My God.
I remember that too.
Season 2 and the following seasons trimmed down to 3 nights a week, but there has almost always been some sort of 24-hour internet live feed. For the freaks. My last fun fact, the word showmance was coined on Big Brother. A term that's used a lot in all 3 of these shows.
It reminds me, the airing 6 nights a week, 70 episodes. The Truman Show came out in 1998.
Yep.
And I can't help but think that was one of the dominoes that led to this being like, we're going to film everything and air everything, and people are just going to eat it up.
So let me run through some fun moments, and I have seen the least Big Brother. I have the least to highlight here, but a couple of really good ones. You've got season 2, winner Will Kirby. Contestant is expelled from season 2 for, he says, jokingly, threatening to kill another contestant. He wraps her up, holds a knife to her neck, and says, "What would you say if I killed you right now?" And the producers got him out of there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He only made it like 10 days.
Yikes. That's not enough time.
Saying you kicked him off for threatening to kill the contestant leaves him open to add the jokingly later, when if you were like, we kicked you off because you held a knife up to someone's throat.
Yeah.
Like, there's no joking way to hold a knife up to someone else's throat.
Yeah.
Well, he would argue otherwise, Kyle.
Well, I guess I don't understand comedy then.
Big Brother is watching you.
Hey, quick errata here. The way we talk about this, it kind of makes it seem like CBS and Julie Chen played this whole situation off as a joke. I've since gone back and actually watched the episode, and so this is on me for reading more than watching and doing research, I guess. But I will say, CBS, the producers, Julie Chen, everybody, nobody makes light out of this situation, and honestly, I think they handle it pretty well. So I just wanted to chime in and make that clear. and I hadn't watched the episode yet. So yeah, there you go. You've got season 4 in 2003, winner Jun Song. This is the first time 2 contestants bang on TV. We got 3 full seasons of Big Brother where nobody banged. Season
That's
4.
kind of surprising.
Yeah, I know. Season 4, 2 people bang. Season 5 in 2004, winner Drew Daniel. 2 contestants find out they're biological siblings.
Before or after they bang?
During.
This was in a segment of the show called Operation DNA. Season 7 in 2006.
Man, giving your DNA to a show called Big Brother to do for a segment,
a bit on the nose,
is just like driving past a million red flags and being like, these all look great.
It's like having Boston Rob say he wants to get into an alliance just with you and not to tell anyone.
Yeah.
So you've got season 7 in 2006. This was Big Brother's all-star season. Winner is Mike Boogie Mallon. And this contains winner of season 2, Dr. Will, who came back. Or excuse me. Dr. Will, who came back for the all-star season, gives what is colloquially known as the I hate you speech. It's pretty great. Go find yourself 2 minutes in YouTube and look up Dr. Will's I hate you speech. It's pretty good. 2007, winner, guy named Dick Donato. First appearance of Evil Dick and his daughter Danielle. Dick Donato and Evil Dick are one and the same. His daughter, Danielle, who he did not have contact with before the show began filming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Someone, a producer, dropped the ball by letting this man put Evil Dick in as his, like, alias for this show and running him through all the screening process to get him on TV. That's...
Yeah.
It's... weak attempt. Just...
Season 13. Hey, I forgot to write down the winner. Sorry. Evil Dick and Danielle return, even though they'd not spoken since the last time they played the game.
Yikes.
Yeah.
A lot of really normal, well-adjusted people play this game.
Yeah.
That was the last season that I watched, like, regularly, but I was very aware of season 12 winner Ian Terry in a move that anybody who knows Big Brother knows well, Dan's funeral. This guy named Dan is convinced that he's going to get eliminated, and so he throws himself a full-on funeral in the middle of the courtyard, and nothing I tell you will do it justice. Google it on YouTube. It's a fun watch. And now...
I don't think I will.
That's okay, Cap. Last but not least, I want to just give a brief word about Big Brother 1. I will link in the show notes, and I've linked here at the bottom for you guys under supplemental reading, an EW article that is a Big Brother Season 1 rewatch. Maddie and I pretty recently sat down to, like, watch Big Brother. Maddie had never seen it. I wanted to get her into it. I had all these memories of what Big Brother was and my expectations and yada, yada, yada. What I realized is that all my memories start with Big Brother Season 2. Because Big Brother Season 1 is very, very different than every season after. Because Big Brother Season 1 follows the Netherlands style, where there is effectively no interaction between the game makers, the game masters, the hosts, and the contestants.
It's just cameras on. Here's your box of granola bars and a Costco-sized thing of toilet paper. See you in 4 weeks.
Yeah. Season 1 of Big Brother came hot on the heels, like 2 months after Survivor Season 1 wrapped. So everybody went into Big Brother Season 1 thinking, we're going to get Survivor, but in a house. Right. And that was not the case. People really hated it. Also, it's the fucking wildest, most surreal pie slice of America that you can imagine. Dr. Drew is there. It's so weird. Also, there's 70 episodes. It aired 6 nights a week. Don't watch it unless you're like really into it for the bit. Do read this EW article about season 1 because it's really interesting. And honestly, again, he's a bastard man, but credit to Les Moonves for saying, nah, we can Americanize this. We can make money. And it did. And a lot of international Big Brother people really hate the American version. And some countries have the American version. Some countries have the Netherlands version. In like 2005, I think, the UK Big Brother switched from the Netherlands version to the UK version, and people fucking rioted and demanded that it goes back to the Netherlands version because they hated the American version. It's a whole thing. All right. So I have given you a lot today, and here at the very end, I want to get on my soapbox real quickly and go back to that Library of Alexandria point I made earlier. All 3 of these shows have aired effectively in constant from 2000 to now 2024. Each year taking a pie slice of Americans and putting them on display to truly emphasize the most minute pieces and intricacies of their personalities in ways that play up their stereotypes, but lead to genuine human moments that, quite frankly, we do not have good documentation of pre-social media and pre-YouTube. If you want to say that, post 2005, 2006, you get plenty of people's personality on the internet, sure, I believe you, and I'll go with that. But from 2000 to really about 2005, there was no example of cross sections of the population outside of these reality shows, not just these 3, but all reality shows. And when you get down to The Amazing Race, Big Brother, and Survivor, there are these institutions built around them that while the people change, the constraints and the environments that they are in remain constant, which creates this really unique opportunity for people to interact with the same stimuli year after year after year after year while the broader ecosystem changes around them. If you took season 2, season 3 Survivor and some person outed another trans person on the cast, that trans person would be run off the island with torches. And 17 years later, we had the exact same situation where monolithic company CBS, through the voice of Jeff Probst, basically put up a sign that said trans rights. The world has changed around these games, but they have continued to pull people in to play effectively the same game over and over again, which I believe gives us a lens into the population and the annual human condition that nothing else really does. And for that, I think that these 3 shows in particular carry a type of value that maybe won't be realized for 50 or 60 years when they've long gone off the air. But I read this huge think piece today about an American family and how watching this docuseries from 1973 is one of the best lenses into like a Nixon era America that you can find because it's real. And I think that these shows, more than most others, although the situations are concocted, the games have rules, I think are more reality than they are anything else. And while you do have your Boston Robs and your Johnny Fairplays, your people who come in to play up a character, you have a lot of people who come on these games specifically for the experience, to showcase themselves, to showcase their culture. It's something that comes up over and over again. And quite frankly, I think is just a really important cataloging of society through pop culture. And for that, I say Survivor, The Amazing Race, Big Brother, Library of Alexandria, pretty much the same thing.
I take issue with a lot of what you just said, Matt.
That's fine. We're allowed to.
It was a well argued. You argued your point well. I take issue with a lot of it. I'm gonna let you have most of this. I present this as hopefully my a common ground I hope we can agree to. I would amend what you said to say that it is not more, quote unquote, it is not more reality than anything else. I think just because cameras were on so long, you did get these nuggets, these moments of very real reactions in a way that you would not again until the YouTube era, because that's the next time cameras are on too much all the time. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Honestly,
Yeah.
I really do. I would not expect anybody to stand on this silly soapbox with me, but I am proud of the soapbox that I brought today. That's all I have. And I want to say thank you to letting me ramble about it. I also want to ask if you guys have any final closing thoughts here.
I'll just add a little bit to what Kyle said. I think that what I took away from this. So first off, this is great. Thank you. I still couldn't care any less about The Amazing Race. I just don't think that one's for me.
Yeah.
I know Big Brother Super is. I can't. What I think this really does, since these have been going on since the year 2000-ish, is they offer really good snapshots of society and the changes. And, a prime example I would give would be, you go back to like the reality shows of the 80s, and it'll be like, here are these two same-sex best friends. Look at these two same-sex best friends that live together.
Well, they're roommates,
friends.
Todd.
Yeah.
They're roommates and work together and love their two dogs very much.
Right. And I mean, obviously, like, you look at things in 2024, like, they're not going to do that anymore. And I think that, this kind of media gives you little snapshots of society to compare against later. Again, just applauds to you, Matt, for caring so deeply about a thing that I can only compare to my love for 90 Day Fiance. And listen, when we can, if we don't get any more commissions in, then I'm going to do a 90 Day Fiance one of these, and you're all going to hate it. And that's a threat.
I already hate it. I had a lot of fun today. This was really entertaining. I thought you did a great job of breaking down and giving some highlights. I had a lot of fun in listening to content that I will never, ever interact with in my life, and that's okay.
I'll echo a lot of what Andrew just said, and I'll add, I think in the list of things we get to put on the tree of things that spun out of these shows, I think we do get to say there would be no debate this if not for at least one of these shows.
If not for O.J. Simpson,
I don't think we would be here. Small domino, O.J. Simpson does a slow car chase in a white Bronco. Big domino, debate this.
I'm going to wrap up with this final thought. If you listen to all this and you have not consumed these shows and you're like, that's my shit, I'm in. I think a great place to start is season 17 of The Amazing Race. That's the watermelon season. It won a bunch of Emmys. I think it's on Netflix still. It's the perfect capsule of like everything you want in a season, nothing more, nothing less, and it doesn't require anything extra of you. Honestly, any of the last 4 Survivor seasons are a great place to start. They've all been very good. You pretty much have to suckle at the teat of Paramount Plus if you want that, and that doesn't feel good. But, if you're a freak like me, then that's for you. And Big Brother, I don't honestly know where to tell you to start. It's not season 1. I just started season 2.
Season 3 is now available live on Tubi.
Yeah, I mean, I saw one of the seasons of Survivor I looked was on Pluto TV, which I hadn't even heard of.
Crackle.
Now you're just making up.
No, Pluto's one. I know that's one.
That's not real.
Pluto is one. Yeah.
So there you
Funny
go.
Joke.
That's it. If that's what you want, you can have it. And what I want is to say thank you for listening to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Debate This Cast, or on our website at debatethiscast.com. And please, we're out of commissions, and I only kind of want to hear about 90 Day Fiancé.
I really don't. Please don't make me listen to 90 Day Fiancé.
I also don't want this
Or-
but 90 Day Fiancé.
Or commission an episode for 90 Day Fiancé.
If you want to commission your own flavor text, head on over to patreon.com/debatethiscast. A one-time payment of $60 will allow you to dictate whatever series or media or religious doctrine or series of reality shows we talk about next. Until next time, I'm Matt Cole.
I'm Kyle. Don't let our silly dumb show ruin your trash for you, Harper.
I'm Andrew. You can draw a straight line from O.J. Simpson to CBS's success to None Pizza Left Beef Henderson.
And I'm Todd. Flavor text of love, Thomas.
And we are saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.